my video, Bait Trap Basics, I showed how you can use a variety of bait traps to catch live bait for fishing. However, if you're only going fishing for the day, you may not have time to put out a bait trap and catch enough bait before it's time to pack up and go home. In this video, I'm going to show you how, with a little planning, you can always have enough bait for your next fishing trip, and best of all, it's free. About a week prior to the fishing trip, I'll put my bait trap out in a pond near my house. I'll check the trap each day, and each day's catch goes in my holding tank. By the time I'm ready to head to the lake, I've got all the bait I need. Obviously, you want to find a pond close to your house, or maybe that you routinely drive past on your way to work every day. If you're incurring a lot of extra mileage just to check your bait trap, then your free bait isn't so free. I use a 150-gallon stock tank for holding live bait. Stock tanks are available in a variety of sizes and can be purchased from any farmer's co-op or farm supply store. I replace the drain plug with an outdoor faucet to make draining the tank easier. I usually drain and replace half the water volume weekly when holding fish. This avoids the need for any sort of expensive filtration system, and it also minimizes temperature and pH shock to the fish. Realize that the chlorine in city water will kill your bait fish. However, if you put your tap water in some open buckets and leave it out for 24 or more hours in the open, the chlorine will dissipate to safe levels. Another trick is to only fill your tank about 80% full, and that'll minimize the number of bait fish that you lose from jumping out and dying. You could also use some sort of plywood cover or screen cover, and that would accomplish the same purpose, and it would also keep debris out of your tank. I use a double output aquarium air pump to drive 4 air stones for aeration. The pump is kept in a plastic storage container with a loose-fitting snap-on lid. The lid keeps the rain out and lets the container breathe. Holes where the air tubes pass through the side of the container and where the power cord passes through the side of the container are sealed with silicone rubber. The air pump's output flows through a 4-valve manifold, which allows me to equalize the airflow to the individual air stones. I have my air hoses situated so that I have 2 air stones at the back of the tank and 2 air stones across the front of the tank. Each air stone is weighted with a couple of hex nuts just to keep the stone at the bottom of the tank so that this entire hose assembly doesn't try to float. As the weather gets warmer, aeration becomes more and more important to keeping your fish alive. Obviously, you should situate your air pump and power cord so that they can't possibly be knocked into your tank. If I'm holding bait fish for more than a few days, I'll feed them a small quantity of flake fish food daily. This is simple aquarium food like you would feed tropical fish in an aquarium. And you want to be sure not to overfeed your fish because you'll only foul the water. A good rule of thumb is only feed about what your fish can consume in a 5-minute period of time. I like to keep things simple. Therefore, I specifically do not try to raise or maintain a large population of bait fish in my holding tank. It's simply a lot harder to keep a big group of fish alive long term than it is short term. But after a fishing trip, if I've got some bait left over, I'll throw it back in the tank. But I'm not going to go out of my way to fill my tank back up with bait until shortly before my next fishing trip. I know that at any time, with a few days of bait trapping, I can catch all the bait I need for that next trip. The hotter it gets, the harder it is to keep your bait fish alive. You're probably going to want to shade your tank as much as possible. You're also going to want easy access to AC power if you're going to run an aerator. My tank is situated near my deck against the house on the east side. Therefore, during the heat of the day, this tank is in the shade. I live in the south, and I've never had more than a ½ inch of ice form in my tank, even in the coldest of winter. And I've never had trouble losing bait fish during the winter time, even if I have ice in the tank. Obviously, the smaller your tank size, the more likely you are to form ice. A shed or garage might be your best bet for really extreme weather conditions. Keep in mind, if an infant can drown in a 5-gallon bucket, then they can certainly drown in a stock tank like this. If you've got young children around your tank, by all means, install some sort of child-proof lid for their protection. Also, be sure you have your aerator and power cords situated where they can't possibly fall in your tank, and be careful about running power cords along the ground where you may have water puddles form. Realize you don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money on a stock tank to hold live bait. You might use several 5-gallon buckets. You could use an old wash tub, maybe an old 55-gallon drum. Literally, possibilities are endless. Good luck with your bait trapping. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate your comments. Be sure and check out my other fishing videos on YouTube.